Yesterday, the preseason of the Overwatch League kicked off with 3 matches, the third of which was between Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai Dragons. This was one that a lot of people were looking forward to, me included. Seeing the two Asian teams clash was pretty cool. That being said, most people expected the Korean team, the Seoul Dynasty, to take the match, and this start of Eichenwald, where the Shanghai Dragons are attacking, Seoul Dynasty puts on a great defense and really shows us why this team is so good. Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Teamfight Spotlight, a new series here where we take one team fight in an Overwatch match and really put it under the magnifying glass to see some of the core, most important things in Overwatch, and particularly things that you can apply to your own games. So let's take a look at it. Now, we've had some setup time. You saw that the Shanghai Dragons, they tried to push into the point. They didn't get too far. They lost their Zenyatta to an unfortunate pickoff early on, and now they need to reset. They didn't waste that fight, however. They used it to get Dia, and we'll see this in just a second as they bring up the overhead map. Seoul Dynasty are taking kind of the more popular approach right now, which is to hold a little bit further back. So this is their Mercy and Zenyatta, obviously the supports far in the back. The Diva babysitting them. If anyone comes near, she can lay out the defense matrix. Also, McCree's pretty far back too. He's hiding in this building, really, waiting for the fight to start. Miro is over here. He can jump around, so where he is not too big of a deal. Probably the most interesting position we have here is the Junkrat, dead in the middle. It looks a bit dangerous to be this far up when you're compared to the McCree or something, but he can also jump around with the mines, so really, it's fine. At least presumably, that's the idea. In the meantime, in Shanghai, the Shanghai Dragons are running a very aggressive attacking comp. They have Tracer and Pharah as their two DPS heroes. Now, the idea behind this is Tracer wraps around the side, and here she literally wraps around the way back and pushes the team in and out of cover so that the Pharah can shoot them now that they're out in the open. Pretty classic combo that we've seen used, for over a year at this point. Besides that, they have the classic support combo, Mercy and Zenyatta. Mercy's OP, Zenyatta combos well with Mercy, so why not? And then, of course, Winston Diva, your bread and butter dive tanks. So, now that we go back to the game here, we can see how this push unfolds. Shanghai Dragons don't want to waste any time, so you see immediately Winston and Diva start to push up and take control over this area. Now, there is not a lot of pressure that Seoul Dynasty are putting on this area, so they just take it, right? But you have to take it at some point to push up. So they move up, and now the rest of our supports, particularly, and also our DPS Pharah over here, can move up as well. Now, notice Seoul Dynasty not being too overly aggressive here. The McCree still, you can barely see the outline, but right, this is a McCree. He's still far back. We have the Zenyatta still far back. Mercy is getting ready actually to dive in this direction. She's looking that way if she really needs to. Here we're going to see the Tracer join the fray, although she kind of comes in from the side, not as back as you normally would expect her. All she finds is Zumba here on Diva. That being said, if she were to blink, if we go back to this view, if she were to blink a little bit more over here and try to go in the back, McCree is actually waiting to flashbang and pretty easily kill her. And of course, Ru Jae-hong is back there as well on Zenyatta, and McCree plus Zenyatta, pretty good against a single Tracer. So it would be a little dangerous for Dia to blink back there. Seoul Dynasty doing a great job of keeping a good formation overall. So the Tracer not able to do any damage. In fact, she blinks into a trap. But remember before we were talking about how weakied on the Junkrat, this was a little bit more forward. This was strange compared to the rest of the formation. Now the idea is the Junkrat can jump out with mines, but it just didn't happen this time around. And also Free Feel gets just a crazy, insane shot onto McCree. So Shanghai Dragons wind up coming into a very strong position here. But the thing we're focusing on aren't them. It's really the Seoul Dynasty. So sure, they got a couple of really nutty shots with Free Feel. That was phenomenal on Zenyatta. But the key here is notice no one else is dying. Notice where they were when all this happened. So they're way in here. They're off the point. They're gone. They're done, right? The Seoul Dynasty do a great job of only committing to the point when they really have to. And that's something that you can apply to your own games. Only commit to a fight when you really super need to. Either the rest of your team is going in and they need help right now, or the team is on the point. Playing up forward, you know, if Miro were to say, okay guys, we're going in, we're diving, he's going to dive in, die. Zumba would die. Ryu Jae-hong would be left alone, so the Tracer would just go and kill him, no problem. But here we're seeing phenomenal discipline by the Korean team. Miro's back, Zumba's back on the 2 tanks, and they're going to give up 2 slices of this point. Now, they need to take it eventually, so we will have the D.Va dive in. Zumba takes the opportunity. Notice the timing was perfect, by the way. Notice this timing. He waits. Now, obviously, he's going to come in at some point before this reaches max, right? But the moment Zushu comes and tries to go for the Korean Winston player, well, that's okay. Zumba's just like, well, fine, I'll just walk onto the point. Boom, just like that. And there's no one to really stop her. I mean, there's a Tracer. Tracer's not super good against D.Va. Now, unfortunately, they put up a replay in the middle of the fight, which was a bit strange. But basically, in very small ant form, you can see that it's just some stalling tactics, right? Just Winston and D.Va stalling on the point for a little bit. D.Va did pop the self-destruct, which got Undead, the Pharah player. Notice that Dia died as well. Why did this happen? It's because, unlike the Korean team, Shanghai Dragons, the Chinese team, they're pushing up a little bit more aggressively than they have to. Notice this is the point right here. We have Winston, we have Mercy. No one's really contesting this point. This still belongs to Seoul. In fact, Toby's like the only person who's even contesting the point right now. These players could all be back here. No problem. And Seoul's using this to their advantage. So, I mean, they're not going to push out onto the point if they don't have to, right? They only go in the very, very last second. So we do have both support ults popped for both teams, and everyone's going to get resurrected. Everyone's up right now on both teams. So the Pharah died, the Tracer died, but now they're back. But notice where our players decide to go here. So Dia is pushed up here. Now the idea is, right, the McCree is a mid-range hero. Tracer's a short-range hero, so you can't battle the McCree unless you push up to him. But notice the Korean positioning here yet again. We have Zumba, the bare minimum, committed to the point. This is what they do time and time again. They put the bare minimum on the point, and then the rest of their players just go in optimal position. So here, Munchkin and Ryu Jae-hong, they're like way, way back, even though the point's on the verge of being taken, just pixels away. And because of this, Dia overextends. He winds up getting flashbanged and killed. And now, in order to try to save him, or try to at least capitalize on Dia's play, you don't want to just waste it, right? We have Undead, the Pharah player, coming in and going for her own ultimate play. And because she's so far overextended, Roshan, the Winston player, can't ult to knock people away. He can't barrier her. He can't do anything. And of course, the D.Va can't do anything either. The Mercy's not there. And so he winds up going down, actually, just to a simple Mercy pistol, just like that. And now all we have left are tanks. The Mercy ultimate is down, so a quick tire takes out Roshan on the Winston, and they clean up the supports, no problem. So Shanghai Dragons definitely had something cool going on. I thought that they were a little bit, they were a little bit over aggressive there with the DPS, like we said, they were pushing forward. But the real highlight, it wasn't them, it was Seoul Dynasty and their absolute discipline, only committing as little as they need to onto the point. And that's the concept I want to leave with you guys today as we finish up our Teamfight Spotlight. Stay disciplined, commit the minimum. Overwatch is a lot about min-maxing, right? We have ulting as little as you need to, committing as little as you need to. The more you commit, the more danger you put yourself into. The more resources you use, obviously, the less you have for later on. So always try to stay disciplined and really think about whether you need to be on the point or whether you should be staying back and setting up for positioning, especially if you're a DPS player, especially. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you want to see in future videos. If you see a cool team fight that you thought was interesting and you're like, huh, I wonder why that worked out like that, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I also invite you to check out the rest of the videos on the Tempo Storm channel, created by a bunch of other really awesome content creators. They make some good stuff. So anyway, guys, until next time, I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you next week.